In search of competitive advantage or edge, in fact, we're talking benchmarking. Now, what is it? We can, as an industry, as a company, in an industry, of course, it's better to check up on your rivals, the competition, and find out exactly where we stand. And it's a very crucial thing in industrial, any kind of an industrial sector. What is it? Well, we compare ourselves inside the different business areas, maybe inside the same company. Are we working as good as the other team in the same company, other division, other department, other branch? Against a competitor, very normal. Peers in the industry, that means, others within the industry. Of course, everybody else, the other companies, sometimes even across into the different industries, we do the benchmarking. We discuss few examples on it later. The reason why, well, that's the only way an industry could adapt, or a company inside the industry can adapt and adopt things. We cannot be, the frog in the well-like organization. We could be feeling all right with what we do, but we have to benchmark ourselves. If I do an example like Sinhala cinema or Sri Lanka cinema never benchmark itself with the Indian cinema. And we were thinking that we were the best in the, in the country or in the industry or whatever, right? And then came the television, and then, the VCRs, and entire Sinhala cinema was lost. It never picked up again. Our failure to benchmark with the competition was a fundamental reason for the failure of the Sinhala movie industry. And yes, that's the only way we can grow. And yes, that's the way only we can, sustain ourselves. Types of benchmarking. We can have performance benchmarking, practice, external to internal added. What is it? What are they? For that matter, we'll find out. Performance benchmarking is, that's the first thing. It's a quantitative one. We just get the numbers game. How much, which what, right? And the numbers, amounts, key performance indicators, right? Okay, how many it's being produced, or how fast are we making things, and what about the quality failure, the numbers. It's about numbers, performance benchmarking. Very common in industries like the apparel industry. Any apparel factory would be loving to, or rather would never hesitate to benchmark its performance with regard to rival or perhaps other factories in the same group. It's a numbers thing. Practice benchmarking is a different way. There we check the people, the quality of it, the processes that we have set up, the standard, the technology that we have. So that's also one way that a company might benchmark itself with others in the industry, or even within themselves, right? The branch to branch benchmarking could be there. Getting into the internal benchmarking, just completely inside the company. This is interdepartmental, inter-unit, different product lines in the same factory, different programs, different sections. Sometimes the different geographies, meaning different branches in different areas. Internal benchmarking, very common, especially in the industries like banking, supermarkets. That's a lot. External benchmarking, well, we just compare the numbers that we have collected with the rest of the industry, or perhaps across the industry, perhaps sometimes with others outside the country. Even external benchmarking. The company would do at least one of them. Some might do all of it. There are other types of benchmarking also. We call it technical benchmarking, one, and the other one is a competitive benchmarking. What's technical benchmarking? We basically see about our current capabilities, about the capacities, the industrial strength, our own, the technological advancements, our own technological skills, right? So that's technical benchmarking. Common in quite a number of industries. Let's say in the construction industry, like one construction company might compare itself with its machinery and other things with a competitor contractor. Technical benchmarking does happen a lot. So for that, of course, we need the data, right? The numbers, efficiencies, the speeds, right? The quality of it, the upgrades about it. So lack of it would make it difficult for us to compare ourselves with another, a crucial one. Another one is a competitive benchmarking. Now, this is a little bit of a tricky one. It's technically, we basically line up ourselves with the market leader. Wherever we stand, whether it's in the second to that or third to that or last in the line, we benchmark ourselves with the market leader. So to figure out exactly how far or what our aim should be, such as, for example, a new television station coming in, would be looking up to the market leader to see where he stands. You know, Sirius TV was the first to come with a very novel way of presentation. Then before that, we had the Sirius radio channel coming up, bringing a completely new experience in the early 1990s. Every radio channel that came after that benchmarked itself with Sirius. That's not uncommon. Entire world movie industry would not hesitate to benchmark themselves with the Hollywood with regard to the technological competencies. How do we do in benchmarking? We make up a plan, yes, and collect data, analyze ourselves, and then make up our mind to adapt to the situation. So we can't benchmark everything. We have to figure out what we need to benchmark on. No company would be benchmarking everything from the front office to the back office to every aspect of the department. They'll identify the key areas where we have a competitive opportunity or we are behind competitively. So where we can catch up competitively, then they will benchmark with them, right? Of course, for that, we need the numbers, data, people, processes. We need to study that internally, externally. We need to double check, and we have to make up a plan. And ideally, benchmarking plans are short to mid-term. Rarely, they are long-term because then for the long term, we have to come up with different benchmarking. Companies normally benchmarking the short-term and the mid-term easily. I'm not telling that the long-term benchmarking is not there, but it's more short-term, mid-term to get a solution faster. And yes, we study others, and whatever the finding, we utilize them. Step by step, like this is like I select subject to benchmark. Just imagine something like take, let's say orange the switches, right? They are pretty much all right in the market, but they would definitely benchmark with the other switch plug manufacturers, like Kevilton for that matter, right? And see your current processes and just collect and analyze data. Take Derana News. They might benchmark with Sirius News. They seem to be ahead of the game, right? And see your performance with them, and then create a plan to be better. That. Next thing is why is it important, this benchmarking thing? It is important for multiple things, right? It helps us improve our processes and the procedures because we are comparing ourselves with others. Right? Ratnayaka Bakers would definitely be comparing themselves with others. Maybe PNS, perhaps Devon. Take a Golf-Face Hotel would be benchmarking themselves with the nearby ones. Hilton or, Kingsbury. We always do. Cargill's would definitely benchmark with the one or two other supermarkets. We always look over the shoulder or look ahead to see who's coming behind or who's ahead of us. Right? Try to be better. It helps us to gauge our effectiveness. Right? How are we improving based on our past performances? Right? Can we be better than them? How close are we to them? Sri Lanka cricket need to benchmark itself with perhaps India, maybe Pakistan, right? It's a common process. Match to match, we benchmark. We do that. We analyze ourselves and we figure out a way to improve ourselves. Might help to identify the best practices to increase performance. Yes, improves on efficiency. Every professional does benchmarking. In every profession, be it law to accounting to management to medicine to engineering, we always look at the other professional as a challenge. We try to benchmark ourselves to be better or on par with him, we have to be. We can't just rest and relax in a profession, right? It's that, yeah. One example, Southwest Airlines. Take a look at it now. They benchmark themselves across the industry. Basically, they basically studied how in this motor car rallies. NASCAR is a motor car rally that goes on for a day or two, right? In a single track, this endurance car racing, to see how fast these crews get a car ready at a pit stop. Within seconds, they do that. Say 12 to 16 seconds. So they benchmarked, they studied exactly how these crews get together, and they learned that knowledge or awareness to improve the plane turnaround times. That means when a plane lands and when a plane get back ready for the next journey, maintenance, cleaning, everything. So they did not benchmark on another airline. They benchmark themselves with another, completely different practice, right, in the motor car industry to figure out how it is done. And it helps Southwest Airlines. Walmart, back then, just about 2 years ago, Walmart did not have anything called online sales. But then came the pandemic, the COVID-19, there were the lockdowns and the closures and all. So Walmart quickly studied from the other online players and got into the game. What are the things we are benchmarking? Yeah, the cost per unit, perhaps. How much time would you take to produce one unit? Quality of the unit, that's a hard thing to check, but quality failures and all can easily be found out, right? Take in a factory, how much of quality failures are happening? That could be checked. And of course, the customer satisfaction, that requires a lot of surveys. And there are other things also that can be benchmarked, but these are few of them. And taking another one, example, Microsoft. It's considered one of the best companies in USA when it comes to taking care of the senior employees. They don't let people retire that easily. Microsoft always finds some work for the baby boomers. And they're very reliable. They have a lot of experience. So they don't kind of let them go. I mean, IT industry is a very young industry, but Microsoft leads the pack when it comes to taking care of the employees. And staying ahead of it helps Microsoft to attract better talent. A number of examples here. Take a look at Google. They have a very high number of recruiters, always on the hunt for better employees. And that helps Google to attract a lot of good employees from across the industries. Dell has been ahead of the game in management. They spent a lot on management practices and approaches and the leadership quality improvements and all. And that led to Dell having a very high revenue per employee, almost like $1 million per employee, like revenues. So that's a huge ratio. Pepsi focuses on the diversity recruiting, meaning, taking people across the spectrum of a society, like perhaps elderly, maybe physically disabled people, women, ethnic groups. That has helped Pepsi in a huge way. Better branding and attracting a lot of talent from different spectrums of the society. Okay, so it's a crucial thing, benchmarking. Any project should have a degree of benchmarking done. Of course, this has to be used with things like the SWOT, Porter, Rio analysis, as well as something like maybe even Blue Ocean, right? Benchmarking would go very much with it. Catch you in a different lesson.